When you think about what a veteran sacrificed, what comes to mind? Time away from home, maybe a physical injury, or the ultimate risk of not coming back at all. And while all of that is true, it's just the surface. The real cost is deeper, and it's messier. It's written across marriage certificates and medical files, whispered in late-night phone calls, and felt in the quiet, lonely hours staring at the ceiling. The personal sacrifice of a veteran isn't a single moment on a battlefield. It's a long, slow aftershock that follows them into job interviews, their kids' birthday parties, and sleepless kitchens. To really understand what they gave up, you can't just look at old photos of them in uniform. You have to trace the parts of their life they willingly placed on hold, or lost entirely, so the rest of us could go on living as if war was something that happened on another planet. It all starts with the years they never really owned. Most veterans signed those years away when they were barely adults, or sometimes not even that. While their high school classmates were figuring out college majors or their first apartments, they were learning how to take apart a rifle in the dark. They were learning how to run with 50 pounds of gear on their backs, how to wake up instantly when someone shouted their name. The military doesn't just rent your body. It rewires your brain. It changes your habits, your friendships, and your whole sense of what counts as a normal day. Think about the birthdays missed, the first steps of a child watched through a grainy video call, the funerals where an empty chair stands in for a son or daughter on deployment. Those are sacrifices that never show up on a ribbon rack, but they carve deep, permanent channels into family stories. These are the moments you can't get back. Then there are the wounds that come with a discharge date stamped right next to them. Some are obvious: missing limbs, scarred faces, wheelchairs rolling through airport gates. We see those, and we recognize the cost. But others are much quieter. A spine compressed by years of carrying heavy gear. Hearing that's been dulled by roaring engines and constant explosions. Knees that sound like gravel every time they climb a flight of stairs. Veterans often learn to speak about their physical pain the way most of us talk about the weather casually, with a shrug, as if it's just something you have to live with. But that aching shoulder might mean they can't pick up their grandchild. That traumatic brain injury, or TBI, might scramble their memory just enough that going back to school feels impossible. It might mean holding down a steady job requires twice the effort for half the recognition. The personal sacrifice here isn't just the injury itself, but the narrowing of choices that comes after. It's the careers they never even get to attempt, the paths they can no longer walk. But perhaps the heaviest cost of all is the one that's completely invisible. For so many veterans, the real battlefield follows them home and unpacks itself right in the middle of their living room. It shows up as nightmares that replay a roadside blast in agonizing slow motion. It's a sudden wave of panic in a crowded grocery store when someone drops a box, and the sound is just a little too much like incoming fire. It's the crushing guilt of surviving when the person next to you did not. Psychologists give these experiences clinical names: post-traumatic stress, moral injury, hypervigilance. But putting a label on it doesn't make it any easier to live with. Especially when a spouse reaches out for a simple hug and finds you already flinching away, your body braced for a threat that isn't there. Relationships buckle under this invisible strain. Some veterans isolate themselves, trying to protect the people they love from moods they can't control. Others try to drown their memories in alcohol or pills, trading pieces of their future health just to blunt the sharp edge of what they remember. The sacrifice here is devastatingly personal. It's peace of mind. It's the simple ability to sit in a quiet room without hearing things that aren't there, or to feel safe in your own home. And let's not forget the financial sacrifice, the one that doesn't fit neatly into patriotic speeches. Military pay, especially for the lower ranks, rarely matches the level of risk or responsibility that comes with the job. While their peers in civilian life are climbing corporate ladders, building professional networks, and padding their resumes, many service members spend their 20s and 30s in a system where promotions depend more on time and service than on entrepreneurial drive. When they finally step out of the military, they face a job market that thanks them for their service, but often doesn't quite know what to do with their skills. Leading a squad under fire doesn't translate cleanly into a line on a corporate job application. So many have to start over at the bottom, older than their colleagues, with families to support and bodies that are already worn down. The sacrifice here is measured in lost earning potential, in dreams that were postponed until they quietly expired from a lack of time and opportunity. Woven through all of this is another secondary sacrifice, one paid by their families, which veterans often carry as a heavy burden of guilt. Children learn from a young age how to count down the days on a calendar until a parent comes home. They learn to recognize the tone in a parent's voice that means bad news is coming over the phone. Spouses shoulder both halves of a shared life while their partner is deployed. They handle the bills, the broken appliances, the parent-teacher conferences, and they sit beside empty chairs at holidays. And when veterans come home changed, maybe angrier, jumpier, more withdrawn, their families sacrifice something else. The version of the person they remember. Veterans try to shield their loved ones. They might bite back frustration so their kids don't see how a loud noise makes their heart race. They may put on a smile and get through family gatherings that secretly exhaust them. The personal sacrifice of veterans isn't just what they endure, but what they decide to never say out loud, just so the people they love can keep believing that everything is okay. Now, none of this means that veterans are broken or that they should be pitied. In fact, most will tell you they'd make the same choice again, even knowing the immense cost. But if we reduce their sacrifice to a simple slogan or a discount at the checkout line, we miss the entire point. What they gave up is measured in opportunities, health, time, and an emotional bandwidth that they will never, ever get back. Our responsibility as a society is not just to thank them. It's to build a world where their sacrifice isn't wasted. A world where mental health care is truly accessible and effective. Where the transition to civilian work is realistic and supported. Where their families aren't left to carry the heavy load all by themselves. The personal sacrifice of veterans is a debt we can never fully repay. But we can at least stop pretending it ended the day they took off the uniform. For them, the story is still being written every single day. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, please consider sharing it. Let's keep this important conversation going.